The story begins not with a man, but with a sword, a blade in stone, a kingdom in ruin, and a question that refuses to fade. Who was King Arthur? Was he a real warlord who united post-Roman Britain? Or a ghost, a symbol stitched together from myth, war, and memory? For centuries, poets, kings, scholars, and even spies have tried to answer. But behind every retelling lies something deeper, something older, something no one expected to survive. A forgotten truth, buried in fog. The version most of us know comes from the 12th century, Geoffrey of Monmouth's Historia Regum Britanniae. In it, Arthur is not just a king, he is the king, a perfect Christian ruler, blessed by God and guided by Merlin. He defeats Saxons, unites Britain, and creates Camelot, a golden court where equality and justice shine. But Geoffrey's account reads more like prophecy than history. There are no sources before him, no documents, no graves, no monuments, or so we're told. In the late 1800s, a quiet academic named Thomas Rowley found something strange while digging near the ruins of South Cadbury Hill Fort in Somerset. It wasn't a sword, it was a name, etched faintly into a fragment of Roman tile. Artorius. Historians dismissed it, said it was common, coincidence, but Rowley wasn't convinced. He spent the rest of his life following a trail no one else wanted to see. Dux Bellorum, commander of war. That title appears in the 9th century manuscript Historia Brittonum. Here, Arthur is not a king, but a battlefield leader, a general who won 12 victories against the Saxons, a ghost between empires. But the more Rowley studied, the more contradictions appeared. Dates shifted, locations blurred, chronicles disagreed. It was almost like someone had tried to erase him. The term historical Arthur divides scholars. Some say he never existed. Others argue he was many people, merged into one myth. A composite of Celtic chieftains, Roman generals, and even tribal legends. But what if Arthur wasn't remembered because of what he did, but because of what he protected? A symbol powerful enough to survive the collapse of an empire. A story that traveled by memory, not by ink. When Rome abandoned Britain in the 5th century, it left chaos. Tribes clashed, warlords rose and fell, and invaders from across the sea took advantage. If Arthur existed, this is when he would have lived, not in shining armor, but in chain mail and blood. A war leader, not a king. A defender, not a legend. The oral traditions of the Welsh, the Cornish, and the Bretons all preserve stories of a fierce leader, a protector who fought overwhelming odds. The names change, but the pattern repeats. A man of the West, fighting for survival. Was this Arthur? Or were these tales designed to keep a single memory alive? In 1998, archaeologists uncovered such a slab in Cornwall, buried deep in a collapsed grave. It read, "Here lies Arthur, protector of the West." Again, coincidence? Or a piece of a puzzle we were never meant to finish? In every age, Arthur returns. In every war, his story is told again. But what if it wasn't just a story? What if the myth was designed to protect something real? What if Arthur was never meant to be remembered as a man, but as a threshold? A boundary between history and legend. Between what was lost and what might return. Camelot. The name itself hums with myth. A court of shining armor, sacred oaths, and noble quests. The perfect kingdom, born from a single sword stroke. But what if Camelot wasn't a place of perfection, but of protection? What if its purpose wasn't glory, but containment? That idea first emerged in the 1930s, when a Cambridge archaeologist named Thomas Kendrick reopened excavations at South Cadbury Hill, a prehistoric fort in Somerset. What he found defied the assumptions of the time. Layers of reinforced timber walls, defensive structures, clearly rebuilt around the 5th or 6th century CE. Charred remains of ancient fires. And at the summit, foundations of a large hall, unlike anything else in post-Roman Britain. To Kendrick, this was no ordinary ruin. He believed South Cadbury was the real Camelot. The idea caught fire in the British imagination. Articles, debates. Even King George VI visited the site in 1938. But just as quickly, the theory was buried. Post-war academia shifted toward skepticism. Myths were treated as illusions, Arthur as invention. But Kendrick left notes, private ones, never published. In them, he wrote of an unusual discovery, a sealed chamber beneath the central hall. It had no entrance, no visible access point, just a disruption in the soil and magnetic anomalies beneath the rock. His words, not natural, not Saxon, something older. The foundation has a heartbeat. The dig was halted weeks later. Officially, due to lack of funds. Unofficially, Kendrick's team was ordered off the hill by the Ministry of Works. But why would the government shut down a dig site? Why silence a link to Camelot? Unless the legend pointed to more than a lost court. Unless Camelot was built atop something buried and dangerous. In 2011, a group of independent researchers returned to Cadbury. Using ground-penetrating radar, they scanned beneath the summit. The results echoed Kendrick's notes. A rectangular chamber, 25 feet underground, encased in stone, and beneath it, a circular structure, vast and perfectly symmetrical, unlike anything in early medieval Britain. One researcher called it an architectural fingerprint not of this time. So what was it? A burial site? A crypt? Or something older and purposefully sealed? In Arthurian legend, Camelot was more than a palace. It was a threshold, a place between worlds, between past and present, between history and what history fears to name. Many of the original tales describe Camelot as a place of protection, not expansion. A fortress guarding the round table. And the table itself? Some texts hint it wasn't symbolic at all, but mechanical. In one obscure 15th century poem, the round table is described as a mirror of stone and fire that spake in voice not man when stars did turn. A coded reference? Or a misinterpreted technology? Over time, even the name Camelot shifted. Some early texts never use it at all. They describe Arthur's court as Carlion, or the Shining Fort. But none match the imagery passed through the oral traditions of Wales, where the court isn't a place of politics, but of guardianship. One Welsh triad describes Arthur's hall as a ring of earth above the star's chamber. A ring, above something below. It matches the radar scans. And it matches Kendrick's sketch, labeled only. Protective capstone? So why bury it? Why cloak it in myth? Because maybe Camelot was never meant to be found. Maybe it was designed to be remembered, but not reached. A castle you could draw, a name you could speak, but a location you could never truly prove. Unless you weren't meant to find Camelot at all. You were meant to awaken it. And if that's true, what happens if it wakes up? If Arthur is the sword, then Merlin is the shadow behind it. A prophet, a druid, a madman, a guardian. In every version of the Arthurian tale, Merlin stands at the threshold, between worlds, between truths. He's not just advisor to kings. He's the one who makes kings possible. But who was he really? A wandering mystic, cobbled from Celtic lore? A political advisor hiding behind riddles? Or was Merlin something far stranger? A man who knew the future because he remembered it? The earliest versions of Merlin come from Welsh legend. Myrddin Wllt, the wild man of the woods. A seer driven mad by war. A man who spoke to trees. Who foresaw the end of kingdoms. But later accounts changed him. In Geoffrey of Monmouth's Vita Merlini, he becomes something else. A man born of a mortal woman and an otherworldly father. A man who could walk backward through time. And perhaps most importantly, a man who left warnings carved in stone. Throughout Britain and Brittany, dozens of sites contain unusual carvings, spirals, circles within circles, and what some believe are star maps. They date back thousands of years. Some match no known language. Others resemble constellations as they would have appeared thousands of years ago, or in the far future. Could these be what Merlin left behind? Instructions not for his own time, but for ours? One cluster of stones in Wales, known locally as the Singing Circle, bears carvings matching the alignment of stars in the year 6484. A date thousands of years from now. Coincidence? Or a calendar waiting to be fulfilled? In Geoffrey's texts, Merlin predicts the fall of Britain, not once, but in cycles. He warns of a red dragon, a broken sword, and the return of the king when the stars turn blue. Poetic nonsense? Or a coded astronomical trigger? In 2020, astrophysicist Dr. Lena Hart published a paper in a fringe journal. She noted that several Merlinic predictions, especially about dragons and eclipses, aligned perfectly with astronomical events. One in particular, a rare blue lunar eclipse that will occur in 2029, visible only from Western Britain. Her theory? That certain ancient stone sites, including those tied to Merlin, were observational tools, not for tracking time, but for warning when time itself would bend, when history would repeat, when the gate would open. Was Merlin a wizard? A druid? A myth? Or was he the memory of a long-forgotten science? One capable of seeing the pattern in time and warning us before the circle closes again. Next, we follow that spiral, not into magic, but into metal, because something lies beneath those circles, and it may not be made by human hands. They say hills remember, that their shapes, curved, scarred, silent, carry echoes of what lies beneath. And beneath this hill, one known in local legend as the Giant's Crown, lies something that shouldn't be there. No Roman ruins, no Celtic tomb, but metal, a structure of impossible geometry buried under layers of chalk and clay. And it was first discovered not by archaeologists, but by accident. In 1972, a rural power company attempted to lay new cables through the Somerset levels. When their equipment struck something beneath the Giant's Crown, the drill jammed. Expecting rock, they instead pulled up a metallic shard. Smooth, seamless, unscarred by time. Tests showed it wasn't steel, bronze, or any known alloy. It was non-ferrous, non-corroding, and ice-cold to the touch. Shortly after the shard was sent to a lab in Bristol, it disappeared. The company received a cease order, and all remaining documents were confiscated by what one employee called a government group I'd never heard of. Official records list the hill as geologically stable, nothing of interest beneath. But in 2004, amateur explorers equipped with basic ground radar found something else, a ring-shaped cavity 40 feet below the summit. Perfectly symmetrical, too symmetrical. Local legends about the Giant's Crown go back centuries. Some say it's the burial place of a sleeping king. Others whisper it's a gate, one that can't be opened without the Circle of Nine. But one tale stands apart. A 14th-century monk named Edric of Glastonbury wrote of a wound in the earth near Cadbury Castle, sealed by knights who bore no banner. They carried not swords, but mirrors, and they spoke in a language that shimmered. Mirrors that reflect what isn't seen. Words that glow. A circle underground. We're not just dealing with an artifact. We're dealing with a containment system. One designed not to hold treasure, but memory, and perhaps something alive. One geophysicist reviewing the 2004 scan noted energy spikes near the perimeter of the cavity. Not seismic, not electrical. Something pulsed, once every 9 minutes. A rhythm, a signal, or a heartbeat. And remember Kendrick's words from Cadbury Hill? The foundation has a heartbeat. That phrase appears again, scribbled in the notebook of a researcher who vanished in 2012 after publishing a short blog about the Giant's Crown. He wrote, "They buried it for a reason, not to hide it, but to stop it." The page ended with a spiral, drawn in red ink, and beneath it, a date, 2029. The spiral has no beginning and no end. It appears on ancient stones, beneath the soil, and in the margins of texts never meant to be read aloud. In the last part, we saw the spiral etched in red ink, next to the date 2029. But that symbol isn't unique to the Giant's Crown. It appears again on a set of stone tablets pulled from a cliffside near Tintagel, the site where Arthur is said to have been born. And what's stranger, some of those stones contain not just symbols, but maps. In 2016, a team from the University of Exeter digitized these ancient carvings and overlaid them onto satellite imagery. A pattern emerged, one the ancients couldn't have seen from the ground. 9 points, all forming a spiral, all centered on a location known in local folklore as the Gate of the Vale. There is no path to the gate. You only find it if you're not looking. The trees around it grow in unnatural curves. Birds avoid the area, and the stone at its center absorbs light instead of reflecting it. One witness described it as a wound in the world. But it's not just the land that's twisted. Instruments fail here, compasses spin, GPS drifts, and sound stops. So what is the gate? Some say it's a thin place, where the boundaries between worlds grow thin. Others believe it's the entrance to something buried far beneath. But one theory stands apart. A fringe physicist named Dr. Ethan Vance, discredited in academia but revered in alternative circles, published a paper titled Spiral Resonance and Temporal Collapse, the British Gate Complex. In it, he claims the spiral isn't symbolic. It's mechanical, Vance believed the ancient spiral sites formed a network, one designed to focus energy, not magnetic or solar, but something older, a resonance that could pierce time itself. He writes, "The gate is not a door. It's a frequency. It responds not to keys, but to alignment." In other words, when the spiral completes its cycle, when the stars match their mirror on Earth, the gate opens. So what lies behind the gate? A myth? A memory? Or something that remembers us? Because if Vance is right, then the gate isn't waiting to be found. It's waiting to be answered. Every culture has a sleeping king, a warrior fated not to die, but to return when the land is most in need. For Britain, that king has always been Arthur. But in the ancient texts, he does not rise alone. He returns through a convergence, a moment when the land, the sky, and the memory of blood all align. And that convergence is tied to the gate. The legend says Arthur lies in Avalon, but Avalon has never been found on a map. Some say it's another realm. Others believe it's beneath Glastonbury Tor, a burial chamber beneath the hill. In 1191, monks claimed to have found Arthur's bones. They buried them again, but not before noting something strange. The bones were not alone. They rested beside an object, oval, metallic, etched with spirals. That disc was removed. Its location? Unknown. But in 2009, a private collector from Oxford published images of a similar artifact found in a cave beneath Snowdonia, far from Somerset. The markings matched those from the gate, and from the artifact beneath the giant's crown. 3 objects, same alloy, same spiral, and each one points to 2029. The prophecy of Arthur's return always sounded poetic. The king shall rise when Albion's need is dire, beneath the spiral crown, through the misted gate. What if it was never poetry? What if it was logistics? Not a resurrection, a signal. This brings us to the most controversial theory of all. Arthur wasn't a man. Not entirely. He was a vessel, not metaphorically, literally. A construct designed to house memory, genetic memory, symbolic memory, cultural memory. When the gate opens, it doesn't bring Arthur back. It activates him. And there are those who believe that activation is already underway. One man, a linguist named Owen Parrish, vanished in 2017 after decoding a sequence of glyphs near the gate. His last recorded message: "The king is not coming back. He was never gone." So the question becomes, have we been living in the age of Arthur without recognizing it? And if 2029 is the trigger, what happens when the spiral completes? 8 sites, stone circles, buried artifacts, anomalies, all arranged in a spiral, mathematically perfect. But every spiral has a center, and that's where the mystery deepens. For centuries, researchers have tried to identify the missing point, the 9th point, at the heart of the gate system. But no record, no ruin, no folklore points to a final location. Until now. Because hidden in a manuscript held at the Bodleian Library, one never digitized, never translated, was a drawing. A spiral, identical to the others, and a note beside it. 9. Beneath the lion's crown. What is the lion's crown? No known site bears that name. But a fringe researcher in the 1980s believed it wasn't a name at all, but a symbol. A mistranslation. In the far north of Britain lies a range known as the Pennines. Ancient texts called them the Spine of Albion. At their heart, a jagged hill known as Penhill Scar. Local legends say it was the site of strange lights, deep echoes, and shepherds who vanished without trace. The hill has a natural ring of stone around it, often dismissed as a collapsed wall or geological accident. But recent LiDAR scans show something else entirely. A perfect wheel, just like the one beneath the giant's crown, just like the pattern beneath Glastonbury Tor. At the center, a depression in the land, collapsed in on itself, a wound or a seal. This, researchers now believe, is the 9th point. And it's not dormant. Several anomalies have been reported in the area since 2019. Sudden electromagnetic surges, GPS blackouts, animal migrations rerouted by invisible barriers. And one more thing, voices. Low, droning, always in 3s. One witness, a geophysicist named Mallory Stone, disappeared in 2022. She was last seen hiking near Penhill Scar, carrying a handheld scanner. Her last voicemail simply said, "It's not a place. It's a pulse. The 9th isn't a point. It's a door." The message was timestamped at 3:33 a.m. She was never seen again. So why was it hidden? Why was the ninth point erased from records, while the others remained? Some believe it was a containment strategy, that the other 8 points formed a stabilizing spiral, and the ninth, a flaw, a breach, or a key. In 2023, an anonymous source leaked photos of an excavation near Penhill Scar. Dark soil, displaced stone, and beneath it, a spiral etched in something not of this earth. Not metal, not stone, not organic, unknown. And beneath that spiral, according to the leak, there's a chamber, still sealed, still silent, waiting for something. But the patterns are aligning. The spirals are pulsing. The lights, once dormant, have started to flare again in the skies above Penhill Scar. Locals report disembodied whispers at dawn. Electronic devices freeze. And 3 times a year, a tone, inaudible to most, stuns animals into silence. They call it the Call of the Ninth. In a hidden folder uploaded by the same anonymous leaker, there is a sound file. Low, slow, and almost melodic. When visualized, it creates a spiral. So the spiral isn't just on the land. It's in the air. It's in the signal. And perhaps it's inside us. If the ninth point is a door, who built it? And what is it holding back? Or what is it trying to let through? If Camelot was the heart, then Avalon was the soul. Not a place on any map. Not a ruin to excavate. But something older, woven into dreams, into the folds of mist, into the words that pass between generations in whispers. Avalon, the final refuge of King Arthur, the place of healing, of silence, of return. But what is it really? For centuries, Avalon was dismissed as a metaphor, a romantic invention by medieval poets and Victorian mystics. But in the last 20 years, a handful of archaeologists and folklorists have started asking a different question. What if Avalon wasn't fantasy, but memory? A memory of something real. In Glastonbury, the so-called Isle of Avalon, archaeologists discovered burial remains beneath the old abbey. Bones, charred timber, metallic fragments. One item stood out, a shard of metal embedded in pelvic bone, unoxidized after 900 years. Not iron, not bronze, unknown. Nearby, a slab with a spiral carved into it, nearly identical to the ones found at the other gate sites. If the spiral is present even in death, what does it mean? In 2020, an Oxford cryptolinguist named Dana Halley decoded fragments of an 11th century prayer book found in Wales. Tucked into the margins, a diagram of a gate, flanked by symbols resembling both Christian halos and orbital maps. Below it, those who bear the crown shall cross, not into death, but between. Between what? Between worlds. Avalon wasn't a paradise. It was a corridor. Not heaven, not earth, something else. Ancient Britons believed in a thin place, where reality folds and the veil thins. These places appear near ley lines, stone circles, or in isolated groves. Places where strange lights are seen, time distorts, and dreams bleed into waking. The spiral may not be just a symbol of eternity. It might be a key. In 2023, a documentary team captured drone footage above Dartmoor. A faint light spiral was seen pulsing in mist, not visible to the naked eye. Below that area, ground-penetrating radar revealed an unusual hollow. When probed, they found nothing. Not emptiness, not stone, absence, as if something was never meant to be recorded, as if space itself skipped. So what is Avalon? A memory of a hidden dimension? A gate disguised as a grave? A location passed down in legend so that it would never be found, only inherited? There's a line in Welsh poetry. When the wind stills and the moon is in silence, Avalon breathes. Maybe it was never about finding it. Maybe it was always about hearing it, feeling the pull, the spiral, and knowing you've been there before. Legends don't die, they migrate. And sometimes, they leave traces in places that history never meant them to reach. Over the last decade, researchers have uncovered patterns, spirals, symbols, alignments, not in Britain, but in North America, specifically in the Appalachian Range. From Georgia to New York, sites previously dismissed as native burial mounds or colonial ruins have been re-examined, and a startling number of them align with the same spiral geometry that defines the gate theory. And in the heart of it all, a myth, a figure, a name that echoes, the Sleeping King. This isn't just modern invention. Early settler journals, dating back to the 1700s, contain passing references to a sleeping king beneath the mountain. One entry by a colonial surveyor named Thomas Hale reads, "We passed the mound, and the trees fell silent. Jonas swore he heard voices in the soil. I marked the circle. It matches the drawing from Bristol." What drawing from Bristol? Bristol, England, was once a Templar stronghold, and Hale was a Freemason. How could a British spiral end up mapped in Virginia? Unless the theory is true, that after the gate system in Britain began to destabilize, something was moved. Not just the spiral crown, but the entire legacy. A new gate, a new convergence, and possibly a new Arthur. Because in 2017, a team of independent geophysicists running scans near Mount Rogers, the highest peak in Virginia, discovered an underground structure, perfectly circular, 84 feet across, ringed with 8 radial spokes. It mirrors the 9th gate in Britain, the one beneath Penhill Scar. But this one is intact, not collapsed, not sealed, and above it, a stone chamber. Inside, a metallic disc, identical in alloy and spiral pattern to the 3 British artifacts previously documented. But this one was humming. Low, almost imperceptible, but constant. The sound is encoded. Audio analysis reveals harmonic intervals that match Old Welsh chant scales, used in bardic rituals meant to honor the dead and the eternal. And when run through a digital translator, the sound pattern forms a phrase. He walks where the sun meets the root. Cryptic? Absolutely. But what if it means something literal? That the figure we call Arthur was never bound to Britain alone. That he, or what he represents, is a constant, a design, a guardian. And that design is global. In a forgotten folder uploaded anonymously in 2023, there's a quote from an unknown source. "The spiral does not bind a place. It binds a threshold, and the king guards the threshold. Always." So if the gate has moved, if the spiral sings from beneath American soil, then Arthur is not a man. He is a signal, an activation key. And the gate? It's listening and waiting for the spiral to turn, for the king to walk, and for the silence to break.